Dude, I love this shit because it's like so silly. It's so stupid. It's so unimaginably stupid. And the stupidity knows no bounds. They literally were like looking for Santa Claus's shit. You know what? I actually do want to kind of watch this one. Here, let's do it. Let's do it. The Nazi quest for Thor's hammer.
You've seen them in the Indiana Jones, Marvel, and DC comics and films. Fanatical Nazi henchmen searching for ancient artifacts to make super weapons that will achieve world domination. Sturmbannführer Arnold Ernst Todt racing Indiana to find the...
Okay, bro, you put some oomph into that. That's a little sus, okay? That's a little sus how he blurted that out. A little too close to the original German, okay?
Ark of the Covenant, Johann Schmidt, also known as the Red Skull, fighting the Avengers to take control of the Tesseract. Baroness Paula von Günther, using her occult powers to fight Wonder Woman. Wild fantasies dreamed up by screenwriters and comic book creators? Not entirely. One of the most powerful Nazis, Reichsführer SS Heinrich Himmler, leads programs to achieve exactly that. He even goes hunting for Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. I'm Spartacus Olsen, and this is a World War II in real-time special on Heinrich Himmler and his neo-pagan and occult beliefs. Thor's hammer is part of Himmler's belief in pagan gods, Germanic myth, and pseudoscience. His few...
Dude, I love this shit because it's like so silly. It's so stupid. I probably shouldn't have said that right as Hitler popped up on the screen, but it's so stupid, okay? It's so unimaginably stupid. And the stupidity knows no bounds. They literally were like looking for fucking Santa Claus's shit, dude. It was so
dumb. He used all of this together to create a new religion that he wants the German race to adopt, and has ordered his minions to search the globe for evidence of ancient Aryan power. This image of the Nazis as occultists will become firmly entrenched in post-war fiction. But how successful has Himmler actually been in creating his Nazi cult? That is what we will look at today. While Himmler might not be able to control the religious traditions of the entire Aryan race, or as it actually is, the Christian majority of the German population, he can control the SS. So that is where he begins. He invents new ceremonies for marriages and births which combine National Socialism with paganism. According to a set of official instructions, an SS wedding opens with an officer reading quotations from Mein Kampf. The bride and groom then light a candle as a symbol of the commencement of a new Germanic bloodline. Then they shake hands and commit to a shared life and shared work for the nation. Himmler encourages marriage mainly to create Aryan children, ideally lots of them. He's not too fussed about monogamy, as long as any illegitimate children are born to racially worthy women. Anna has already talked about the Nazi breeding farms in the Lebensborn program on the home front. You can watch that for more detail.
Did they have a comb extraction unit, though? I'm just saying. We've moved beyond that.
But the basic principle is that single mothers are cared for as long as they raise their child a committed National Socialist. Himmler also turns to ancient traditions to try and increase the fertility of his SS. In 1937, Himmler states that for some Germanic tribes, it was only at the summer solstice that children were procreated and sexual intercourse took place. He organizes elaborate solstice celebrations of dancing, gymnastics, and speeches. Here, SS men are introduced to members of the National Socialist Women's League in order to, well, have sex in order to bring the Führer a baby. Himmler has also great fears that the handsome men of the SS might find each other a more attractive alternative.
They also try to do like a shitty birthright too, now that I think about it. Like what was it called? Like they tried to do like a type of birthright for American Germans where they were trying to bring back American Germans to like fight for the fatherland. Not just like the German-American Bund, but there was like a call for there was a call for like American Germans to come back to the fatherland to defend the fatherland and be like, you know, participate in German conquest. Oh yeah, I mean,
Where are you from, son?
very famously depicted by Band of Brothers. That part is a war crime, technically. It's a wild spoiler alert for those of you who haven't watched Band of Brothers. God, Band of Brothers get my dick hard, dude. Holy shit. I swear to God, if you want me to become an unironic, like, American hog who loves America, who is like the most patriotic person you've ever met, that was me watching Band of Brothers. I was like doing a standing salute every episode. Shit is so good. Oh God, it is so goddamn good. It's so good. Oh, okay. Anyway, Heim ins Reich, meaning back home to the Reich, was a foreign policy pursued by Adolf Hitler before and during World War II, beginning of 1938. The aim of Hitler's initiative was to convince all Volksdeutsche, ethnic Germans, who were living outside of Nazi Germany, for example, living in Austria, Czechoslovakia, and western districts of Poland, that they should strive to bring these regions home into the Greater Deutschland, but also relocate from territories that were not under the German control following the conquest of Poland. In accordance with the Nazi-Soviet Pact, the Heim ins Reich manifesto targeted areas seated in Versailles and the newly reborn state of Poland. Yes. Twitch did you dirty? Fuck. Please join the Vaterland. All right, let's continue.
We need to make sure that we invite the best girls rather than the inferior ones and give SS men the chance to dance with the girls and enjoy themselves to make sure that no one is ever set on the wrong road towards homosexuality. Note his classification of superior and inferior. What can I say? In any case, if all of this works out and Himmler's SS babies arrive, they are given a naming ceremony rather than a christening. The ceremony takes place in a room decorated with portraits of German Führer Adolf Hitler, SS flags, and runes, and Lebensborn babies are welcomed into the SS with a touch of a ceremonial dagger. Sometimes you have to be glad for the babies that they are not aware of what's going on. You see, on occasion, they are subjected to passages read, or even worse, sung chorally from Mein Kampf, which, if you haven't read it, is arguably one of the worst pieces of literature forged by human hand. And I'm not speaking only of the content. Hitler and his ghostwriter Rudolf Hess were not the best authors, to put it mildly. In any case, then an SS officer, sometimes even Himmler himself, makes a declaration to God. Himmler never entirely clarifies which God has replaced the Abrahamic Jehovah. Mostly he speaks of a Germanic god called Varalda, or the Ancient One, or simply of a higher power. Anyway, the declaration is that we believe in the God of the universe and in the mission of our German blood that grows eternally young from the German soil. We believe in the nation, the bearer of this blood, and in the Führer whom God has given us. None of these programs are extremely successful. Sure, a few thousand babies are born under all of these efforts, but would these people, most of whom are in their late teens and 20s, not have had babies anyway? And his idea to indoctrinate newborns into fanatical Nazis fails on a simple premise. Time is not on his side. As for the wedding ceremonies as a path towards ingrained traditions, as a basis for a new religion, there are quite a few weddings SS style. But does that matter? Does getting married in a church by force make you a proselytizing, true-believing Christian? Like most weddings, the groom and bride have higher priorities, getting on with life while getting some regular vitamin P. But why does Himmler want so desperately to have a new religion? Himmler's fascination began after he and his fellow Nazis failed in the Nazi beer hall putsch of 1923 in Munich. Despite his party membership, he was still searching for his own ideology. By this point, he had already rejected his Catholic faith, believing it too soft on the Jews and a hotbed of homosexuality.
Oh, Hitler is the original Red Scare girl, dude. He was a Red Scare girly. He was like, listen, this Catholicism shit is not hardcore enough, okay? I denounce the Pope. I am a Pope denouncing Catholic.
1925, the same year that he joined Hitler's protection unit, the Schutzstaffel, or SS, he read the book Germania by Roman historian Tacitus. In his diary, Himmler wrote that Tacitus' description of the Germanic tribes of Central Europe was a wonderful portrait of how high, pure, and capable our ancestors were. This is how we will become again. He also read books on astrology, hypnosis, spiritualism, and telepathy. Himmler is certainly not alone in his beliefs. The Völkisch nationalist movement has a prominent neo-pagan and occultist subsection. At the end of the 19th century, an Austrian named Guido von List created
Damn, bro, this dude's name was Guido.
a new religion
Big
based
L.
on the worship of the god Wotan, better known in English as Odin.
This is your guy? You went to a guy named Guido? Get the fuck out of here, bro.
He claimed that ancient Aryan priests had left behind their knowledge in a set of runes that were revealed to him in a dream. Another Austrian named Jörg Lanz Liebenfels wrote of an Aryan race descended from interstellar gods who would once again rule over the subhumans. The Tulu Society argued that Germans were descended from Aryans who had lived on a lost Arctic island. Several leading Nazis like Dietrich Eckart, Alfred Rosenberg, and Rudolf Hess belonged to that society. After taking charge of the SS in 1929, Himmler decides he must lead Germany in returning to pre-Christian Germanic traditions. Only then would the Aryan race triumph in the conflict between the human and the subhuman. Himmler quickly sets to work after the Nazis seize power in 1933. He recruits a man named Karl Maria Willgut, a Rasputin-like Austrian mystic. This new SS member claims he can access the knowledge of ancient Germanic tribes by going into a clairvoyant trance. Now, Himmler isn't aware, and I'm not sure that he would care.
Dude, they were doing so much meth. Like that, there is no other. They were hopped up on fascism and meth. There is no other way that you can get this many people to get on board with this, okay? You had to have been so zooted the entire time, dude. Holy shit. This is literally like a coke spiral, okay? Like, yeah, dog, this ancient island, we're actually the real Vikings. Like, trust, dude. None of this mud hut shit, okay?
Or if he was, but Willgut is a diagnosed paranoid schizophrenic who at one point spent 3 years locked up in an asylum. Willgut's wife also claimed that he was a violent drunk who beat her and had an unhealthy desire towards their daughters. To be fair to Willgut, none of that makes him very special within the SS. If you look at the SS elite's criminal and mental health records, and Berlin of this time was Gotham City, the SS would have overpopulated Arkham Asylum in a nanosecond. Okay, so now that Himmler has his theologian, like any good cult, he needs some sort of central shrine. So Himmler takes over Wewelsburg Castle near the town of Büren, Westphalia in August 1934. It's near the Teutoburg forest, where tradition has it that Hermann the Cheruscan, better known as Arminius, beat Publius Quinctilius Varus in the battle that stopped the Roman northward expansion.
This is like the #1 greatest W in German history. Okay, like that is, I think that's like the only, I would say this is the only major German W.
Expansion in the year 4 AD. Himmler believes the castle is blessed with what he calls original German blood. Willgut claims that the castle will see battle again in a future war between West and East. Himmler sets out ambitious plans for the castle and an SS township. In fact, his plans are too ambitious. Neither the main hall nor the crypt will be completed by the end of the war. No weddings, cults, rituals, or other ceremonies will take place here. Only once will the SS Gruppenführer hold their conference at Wewelsburg in June 1941. He does build a museum containing...
I just saw in the Nazis at a W. Sorry if I missed the context. No, dude, what Nazis? What are we talking about? We're talking about the Roman Empire, brother.
Germanic artifacts from the region and a special storage room where the Ehrenringe, or honor rings of dead SS officers, are held. Designed by Willgut, these rings incorporate the distinctive SS death set, a swastika, and various runes purported to represent ancestry, camaraderie, and the power of the sun. Himmler believes that by gathering the rings at Wewelsburg, the spirits of dead SS men will stand along the ranks of the living. Finished or not, the Kalten Castle needs a historiography, a tradition based in artifacts and archaeological finds. So Himmler sets to work finding.
The medicine was developed by Japan, Panzer Schokolade. The official name starts with a P, can't remember it. Stuka candy.
As much evidence of ancient Aryan civilizations as
Pervitin?
he can. In 1935,
Pervitin. For perverts.
He sets up a think tank called the Ahnenerbe, with Hermann Wirth, a disgraced Dutch prehistorian, leading it. Himmler and Wirth dispatch teams across Europe and beyond. They go to Finland to record pagan sorcerers and witches. Cameramen record a soothsayer summoning the spirits of her ancestors. There are expeditions to Sweden in 1936 and Italy in 1937, looking for evidence of Nordic script. Further expeditions also go to Greece, Iraq, and Libya. Planned trips to the Andes, Iran, and Iceland are interrupted by the war. The most famous expedition is the one to Tibet in 1938 to 1939, which is led by Ernst Schäfer, an SS officer and zoologist, which also results in a pseudo-documentary film. On an earlier expedition, Schäfer found what he believed to be Aryan symbols buried along skeletons. He also noted that some people had Aryan features. Schäfer doesn't believe that the Aryans were sent down from heaven, but he uses Himmler's curiosity in Tibet to obtain funds for a new expedition. Once they arrive in Tibet, Schäfer's anthropologist, Bruno Bega, begins examining.
Bring the calipers out, baby. They busted out the calipers, dude.
The skulls and facial features of the locals. By the end of the trip, he has photographed nearly 2,000 Tibetans, Bhutanese, Sherpas, and Nepalis. He has taken measurements of 376 people and has cast the hands and faces of 17. Bega concludes that the upper classes of the Tibetan society have Nordic skulls, noses, and cheekbones.
Oh my God.
They also have a sense of themselves as dominant and must therefore be descendant from Aryans. Now, Himmler's interest in the expedition is also heavily influenced by his desire to find proof for hobby cosmologist and pseudoscientist Hans Hörbinger's Welteislehre, world ice theory, that posits that ice is the basic substance of all cosmic processes, and that ice moons, ice planets, and the global ether, apparently also made of ice, have determined the entire development of the universe. As one would expect, Schäfer's expedition does indeed find a lot of ice in Tibet, but fail to unearth any proof that the rest of the universe is also made of frozen water. The war interrupts many of these extravagant efforts, but the need for weapons to achieve final victory and the war of expansion brings new opportunities for Himmler's helpers' hikes into hysterical historiography. Exploiting the new territory conquered by the Wehrmacht, expeditions are sent to Poland to loot artifacts and to Crimea and Ukraine for evidence of Germanic tribes and the history of his imaginary Aryan civilization. And this is also when we finally arrive at Mjolnir, Thor's hammer. Perhaps the mightiest tool the universe has known, rivaled in lethality only by Gungir, Odin's spear, and in practicality only by Freyr's sword that fights on its own. But spears are unwieldy, a sword not spectacular enough for a mighty Norse warrior. No, the hammer it must be. If only Himmler can get his hands on it, then all of his, the Nazis, and Germany's problems can be solved in one single mighty blow against humanity, now laid out on the anvil of war. So in 1940, he sends out a memorandum to the Ahnenerbe. Find all places in the northern Germanic Aryan cultural world where an understanding of the lightning bolt, the thunderbolt, Thor's hammer, or the flying or thrown hammer exists. I am convinced that this is not based on natural thunder and lightning, but rather that it is an early, highly developed form of war weapon of our forefathers. It's unclear if the Ahnenerbe ever finds any evidence, but Himmler stays true to his beliefs even as the Allies close the ring on Nazi Germany. As late as November 1944, he will order his staff to try and build a modern version of the hammer to disable Allied vehicles, communication systems, and radars with an electrical pulse. And in his final letter, he assures his
Yeah, they must be on meth. Yeah, no, it's insane. It's meth and fascism. The very dangerous combination, dude. Like, very, very dangerous combination.
His wife and daughter, that
I gotta pee.
Valhalla, the Ancient One, will always protect him. Okay, so there you have it. Himmler is at the head of a cult that believes in hocus pocus, pseudoscientific hogwash, and mythical historiography. But how successful is he at spreading these ideas among your average Germans? The answer is not very. Even Himmler realizes that Germany isn't ready for a new neo-pagan religion. He instructs his SS that weddings and christenings must not be conducted in public or reported in the press. As he puts it, there is too much risk of a priest turning up and causing a scene about a heathen marriage. He's also worried that the German public will ridicule his SS. It's not just the public who might be skeptical. Hitler certainly believes a lot of the same occult and pseudoscientific rubbish, but he doesn't think it's anywhere near as important. He too is wary of the backlash from the church. According to Joseph Goebbels' diary, in 1935, Hitler tells Himmler and others that they must stop this nonsense with cults. Himmler's SS men are hardly receptive either. They are encouraged to renounce Christian faith and register as Gottgläubig, or God believers, which is a belief in a vaguely defined higher power. And yes, between 60 and 80% of the SS leadership will be registered as Gottgläubig across the organization's three main branches in 1938. But these are hardly enthusiastic neo-pagans. Most are hurried conversions, abandoning Christianity shortly before or after entering the SS. Among the rank and file, Himmler's ideas are even less influential, with 51% of SS being Protestant, 26% Catholics, and just 23% listed as Gottgläubig. Nonetheless, this image of the Nazis as occultists will prove enduring. During the war, British and American pseudo-historians and occultists already write that Hitler is possessed by a demon. After the war, more books and documentaries will be produced claiming that Hitler used black magic or drew his power from biblical relics like the Holy Grail. Sure, as rational people, we can laugh at all of this. Light-hearted books and films featuring inept or evil Nazis trying to steal the Ark of the Covenant or open portals to hell will keep generations entertained. But there is a more serious point. We've seen that the association between Nazism
Hitler was a witch talk early? Crazy.
and the occult is never really that deep. And yet it will be blended into the wider notions so prevalent after the war that the Nazi clique hoodwinked the German population. Whether that's through clever politics, persuasive oratory, or even black magic. Even those who reject occultism as nonsense will repeat the phrase, "the Nazis cast a spell on the German people." The real myth, the very dangerous myth that drives the Nazis forward, one that far more people are willing to embrace, is pedestrian and ordinary in nature. It's a false tale of victimization based in anti-Semitic prejudice and perspicuous conspiracy myths. The fantasy of a culture war where Germans...
I think one of the most like important aspects of Zionism as a fascist ideology is that there is like perceived victimhood that is tied to very real victimhood that occurred historically. Okay? That's why it's so that's why I think it's like more complex and hard to parse through, which lends itself well to claims of anti-Semitism launched against any kind of anti-Zionism.
Forward, one that far more...
That's the reason why it doesn't hit the same when people say, "Oh, dude, you're using the term cracker." Like, you're using the term cracker. You're an anti-white racist. Everybody laughs at you when you make that argument. But when you say that's anti-Semitic, you know, there is real, valid, existing anti-Semitism. And there is very real, very valid historic wrongs committed against the Jewish population.
people are willing to embrace is pedestrian and ordinary in nature. It's a false tale of victimization based in anti-Semitic prejudice and perspicuous conspiracy myths. The fantasy of a culture war where Germans are being treated badly and even threatened in their existence by a secret cabal of people without any special powers other than their cunning and hunger for power. It's a mythical belief system that doesn't require anyone to believe in the fancy fairy tales that Himmler and his cohorts fantasize about. All you have to do is convince yourself that there is a us and them and that they are out to get you.
Okay.